Hello and welcome back to a weekly market recap. I'm with Rich.
Hello, everyone.
And I'm Knight. Let's get to it. This past week we saw the market relatively flat, down 0.17%, which brings us year to date still up 13.67%, up from the highs in February, 9.36%, and up from the lows that we saw in March, 65.51%. So this past week, the news was really clouded by these two opposing forces. On the one hand, we have the new round of stimulus, $900 billion passed by Congress, really good and positive news for the market. But then on the other hand, we have the negative news surrounding the new UK COVID strain, which has the potential for being more infectious, which was really negative news. So you had these two opposing forces going against one another all week to end relatively flat. So Rich, do you want to give some updates on what we know about the UK virus?
Yes, first, it's been around since September, so it's new in the sense that there's only a greater understanding in that 60% of the new cases in the London area of Great Britain have been this new strain. What we don't really know, and the scientific evidence is not quite in, is that a surge and it's just this particular strain that's coming around, or is this particular strain much more infectious than the other? The other part for the United States is, since this has been around in September and we haven't had lockdowns from the U.S. to Great Britain, this new strain is probably here in the United States already. So with that information and people not quite understanding whether or not this strain is more contagious, we've had the market pulling back some because there's this fear that we may increase the amount of lockdowns that we've had. Remember, we already know that we have a new administration coming in, and Joe Biden has said that he's in favor of doing lockdowns if the scientific evidence points to it.
Yeah, well, let's just ground in what is true. So we know that there's this new strain that is 60% of the new cases that we see in the UK, and we also know for a fact that UK is having a really hard spike right now. The real question, and what scientists are trying to actually get evidence on, is are those two connected or not? Because if they're connected, then that is really negative news. It means that the new cases might be more infectious, this new strain. But currently, at this place where we are, there isn't any scientific data to actually prove that those two are connected, as well as there's no proof or evidence that this is only a UK virus. One of the things that has come out is the UK actually has some of the best testing around the world, which means they're able to test which specific strain of the coronavirus people are positive for. No other country at this point is as skilled at detecting individual strains as they are. So like Rich said earlier, it's very likely that all these cases that we have right now, it could come out that 60% of our cases are also this strain, and it's not just a UK specific problem. What we do know is, again, the UK had to shut down because they have this massive spike, and if we continue to have massive spikes, we will also need to shut down. But whether or not the two are actually related and connected, there's just not enough data or evidence to support the claims.
Correct.
So now let's switch to the positive news that we had this week, which is the next round of stimulus. And there's over 5,000 pages in this bill, and so we couldn't even cover all of it. But some of the biggest things that are important to note is that there is going to be a next round of stimulus checks given out to the same qualifications. If you're single, under 75,000 AGI for the year. If you're in a couple, it's 150,000. One slight difference, besides it being 600 instead of 1,200, is now it is 600 per capita. So before, it used to be if you had a family of four, for each parent it would be 1,200, and then for each kid it would be 600. Now it's just 600 across the board. So now the families are getting 2,400, which is still less, but it's not directly half.
Assuming it's a family of four.
Obviously, yes. Assuming it's a family of four. So there will be a next round of stimulus checks that go out. What they have said is, since they already have everyone on file from the first round, they should be able to get it out faster. Now, who knows? That's a pretty hard thing to bet on. Likely it will still take some time, but they said maybe even before the end of the year, people will start getting their stimulus checks. The next area, PPP. So they are adding more funds for the PPP, and they've done some really good work into clarifying who can apply for it this time, because they are doing a second round, meaning that companies who already were approved for one loan can get a second loan. However, to be approved for it, you need to have a decrease in gross revenue of over 25%.
From 2019 to 2020.
And Rich, overall, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think this is positive?
Absolutely, it's positive. I also like the fact that it's more targeted to the 20% of the economy that is really suffering versus the 80% that's either doing well or holding steady. A more targeted approach is really great. And what I also like is that the first stimulus that we had, the first two, were broadly based when we needed it because there was tremendous uncertainty as to how the coronavirus was affecting the economy. And now that we have a better idea, we're now starting to target. I think that's fantastic. The only question we currently have is that President Trump wants a $2,000 payment and said he may not sign the bill, so it's possible that nothing may happen before the end of the year.
The last important thing that we want to highlight too is unemployment, and that getting extended to some degree. So it's extended for 11 more weeks, and there's going to be an additional 300, so not 600 like it was before, but an additional 300 per week on unemployment. Now, one of the interesting things that they added in was the gig economy, and they said that if you apply for this and you're again have lost that job, you can still get unemployment, and you can actually get an additional 100. So if you were normally going to get 300 per week of additional unemployment, if you're in the gig economy, you can get an additional 400 per week.
So basically, this is to help self-employed people who were getting less support prior stimulus packages.
Exactly. So across the board, we think that this bill is a really good first step. Now, it is to note that there's a lot of people on Wall Street that are expecting that this is going to be the next stimulus, potentially not the last stimulus that we ever receive. And a lot of people are viewing it as, just covering the middle. It's going to cover us for 11 weeks, pump the ball down a little bit, and we'll have some more time to put that next and final bill. But we do believe they've taken a lot of really good steps.
Absolutely.
But this is certainly not the end, and we expect to see one or two more bills even down in 2021, depending on what's going on with the economy.
President-elect Joe Biden has already said that he wanted another stimulus on top of this.
Great, thank you. And so the last thing we wanted to do is wish everyone a happy holidays. This is a precious time to be with your family, be with your loved ones. This has obviously been such a crazy, hectic year. And so our hope for everyone is just really enjoy these days. These are the moments, let go of everything that's transpired this year. And if you can just be with the people who you care about most and enjoy these seconds with them, it would bring us so much joy. Let us know how you're doing. Let us know if you have any questions. Like always, we're here to support you. Your money's here to support you. And we'll see you again next week.
Bye.